boogie, set up, drop the boogie. Ball with the ball, the bang, the dang, diggy, 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 set the boogie, set up, drop the boogie. Ball with the ball, the bang, the dang, diggy, 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 set the boogie, set up, drop the boogie. My name is
Cowboy. Cowboy.
Well, I'm packing up my game and I'ma head out west, where real women come equipped with scripts and fake breasts. Find a nest in the hills, chill like Flint. Buy an old drop top, find a spot to pimp. Then I'm a kid, rock it up and down your block, go with a bottle of scotch and watch lots of crotch. Buy a yacht with a flag saying chillin' the most, then rock that bitch up and down the coast. Give a toast to the sun, drink with the stars, get thrown in the mix and tossed out of bars. Sip to Tijuana, I wanna roam, find Motown, telling fools to come back home. Start an escort service for all the right reasons, and set up shop at the top of Four Seasons. Kid rockin', I'm the real McCoy, and I'm headed out west, sucker, because I wanna be a cowboy, baby.
With a top left back and the sunshine shining.
Cowboy, baby.
West Coast chillin' with the booze
I wanna be a cowboy, baby.
riding at night 'cause I sleep all day.
Cowboy, baby. goes in, it goes like dust in the wind. I once was lost,
but now I'm just blind.
palm trees and weeds, scab knees and rice. Get a map to the stars, find Heidi flights. And if the price is right, then I'm gonna make my bid, boy, and let California ain't know why they call me a cowboy, baby.
With the top left back and the sunshine shining.
Cowboy, baby.
West Coast chillin' with the boom
I wanna be a cowboy, baby.
Riding that night 'cause I sleep all day.
Cowboy, baby.
I can smell a pig from a mile away.
Yeah, Kid Rock, you can call me Tex. Rolling sunset woman with a bottle of Bex. Seen a slimmy in a vet, rolled down my glass and said, yeah, it is right. No kid, gun swinging, spurs hitting the floor. Call me Hoss, I'm the boss with the sauce and the horse. No remorse for the sheriff, it is I ain't right. I'ma paint his town red, then paint his wife white. Cause chaos, rock like Amadeus. Find West Coast pussy for my Detroit players. Back like mayors, ball like Lakers. They told us to leave, but bet they can't make us. Why they wanna pick on me? Lock me up and snort away my key. I ain't no cheat, I'm just a regular failure. I ain't straight out of Compton, I'm straight out the trailer. Cuss like a sailor, drink like a Mick. My only words of wisdom out of
Radio edit.
I'm flicking my pick up and down that coastin' and keep on trucking till it falls in the ocean. Cowboy, with the top left back and the sunshine shining. Cowboy, spend all my time in Hollywood and Vine. Cowboy, riding at night 'cause we sleep all day. I can smell a pig from a mile away. With the top left back and the sunshine shining. With the top left back and the sunshine shining. Hollywood and Vine.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Pigskin Pete. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Thank you all for joining me on this fine Wednesday evening. A lot of you guys coming over here from BVD stream. Shout out to BVD for being a lead into this fantastic and amazing show, or maybe even amazing and fantastic. Anyway, as you can see from the title there, this is a call-in show like every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Call-in number is 864-207-4522. This show is driven by the callers. Without you, this would not even be a show. It would just be me rambling mindlessly like I normally do. So I do rely on the callers. Thank you all for calling. Thank you to all the super chatters, too. I already saw one from BGPO. I don't know how to say this guy's name. It's DeAndre Crawford. BGPO Football Funk, I think is what it is. And I want to say this before we start real quick, too. I missed a super chat last Wednesday, from Gate City Blue Devil. I don't know if you're in here, Gate City Blue Devil. But he sent me a $10 super chat, and I completely missed it and forgot to mention it. And I felt terrible. I've been feeling terrible about it for the past week. Anybody that sends me even 99 cents, if I don't acknowledge you, I'm going to feel bad about it. I play music, bad music even, like the bad music I just played. Man, Kid Rock, I used to think that was good. What was wrong with me? Anyway, so none of my streams are monetized because I play copyrighted music. So I never want to dismiss the people that are kind enough to donate to Pigskin Pete. I really appreciate it. Anyway, as you can see from the title here, the Florida Gators. But you might be asking yourself, or maybe you're not asking yourself. I've been asking myself, what is the hype around the Florida Gators? Now, I don't watch a lot of ESPN on TV because, frankly, I just don't think it's very entertaining. Now, I do watch it during the football season for obvious reasons. I mean, they have games on and they talk about college football a lot. outside of the college football season, I just don't think there's a lot of very good shows on ESPN or Fox Sports, quite frankly. They set up these two-team hosts, and they argue. Half the time, they don't even really disagree with each other, but they argue for arguing's sake. Just not that entertaining. Paul Feinbaum, to me, not very entertaining. I realize he's successful. A lot of people like Paul Feinbaum. I never found his show to be entertaining. I think Paul Feinbaum's extremely boring, to be honest. So I don't watch Paul Feinbaum. So what I do is I listen to the radio. Thank you, DeGoat Watson. $4.99 super chat from DeGoat Watson. You're the man, sir. And DeGoat Watson is DeGoat. But I listen to a lot of radio and I read a lot of articles. That's how I consume my college football news. ESPNU on Sirius Satellite Radio, Channel 84, is probably the best college football outlet if you're looking for news and semi non-biased. They're not just arguing shows. They actually talk about stuff. Greg McElroy is one of my favorite ones on the first team. Comes on from 8 to 11 or something like that. Anyway, everything I listen to and everything I read has the Florida Gators being the preemptive favorite for whatever reason to win the East in the SEC this year. And I didn't just hear this once or twice. I've been hearing this over and over and over. Articles. Read 2 articles earlier today about how Florida's going to win the East. I don't understand it. Now, I will say this. Florida's schedule does work out in their favor this year. But it's going to be a cold day in hell before somebody can convince me, logically, that all of a sudden they're just going to overtake Georgia in the East. For a lot of reasons. And we're going to look at Florida's schedule here in a second. First thing being, Kirby Smart's been there, 4 years? And he's won the division 3 times. Right? Dan Mullen's been there 2 years, hasn't won the division at all. Now, they did have a pretty good season last year. What were they, 10-2 or 11-2 if you include the bowl game, something like that. I don't even know. But Georgia, this is why recruiting matters, people. All I hear is Georgia's got, they had to bring in Jamie Newman. They got a new quarterback. Cal Trask is coming back for Florida. They're replacing 3 NFL offensive linemen. They're replacing an NFL running back. Well, that's all great and fine. But first of all, when did Kyle Trask become the end-all, be-all quarterback in the SEC? Did I miss something here? I'm not saying Kyle Trask is a bad player or anything. But to suggest that he's going to be better than Jamie Newman, based on what? He's not more experienced than Jamie Newman. Jamie Newman's played a lot of football. Yes, it was at Wake Forest. But did you see what he did at Wake Forest? A bad team? Did you see what he did? And not to mention, I think Georgia probably has the best defense in the country this year. At least on paper, they do. In researching Florida, I found out some interesting things. Didn't take long to figure this out. There's a lot of similarities between Florida and Clemson historically. They both have almost the identical bowl record. I think Clemson has 2 more bowl wins than Florida. I think Clemson's got 25 bowl wins, or 25 and 23 all time. And I think Florida's 23 and 21 all time. They both have 3 national championships. They both have only, the majority of their success has come within the past 40 years for both teams. For Clemson, it's been the 80s and the 2010s has been the times that they were, top 10, top 5 program. For Florida, it was the 90s and the early 2000s, right? Mainly the 90s with Tim Tebow. Not Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was 2008. Mainly in the 90s with Steve Spurrier, and then the Urban Meyer years and the 2000s. But Florida hasn't won the division since 2008. Last time they won a national championship with Tim Tebow. It's been 12 long years since Florida's won the division, and I just don't. And you know what? You know what I think it is, and this is just my theory here, is why Florida is being hyped up so much this year. I know they have a lot of players coming back. Because that's the thing Florida fans keep telling me. Oh, they're going to be the most experienced team in the SEC. Or in the East, anyway. And Georgia's replacing all these players. Well, that might be true. But again, recruiting matters, and Georgia's been out recruiting Florida, and coaching matters. And I think that Georgia clearly has a better head coach than Florida does. So, but here's my theory. I'm getting off track here. My theory is the reason that these talking heads on the radio and on TV and in these articles are all printing these articles and talking about Florida being the preemptive favorite to win the East is because talking about Georgia winning the East doesn't get clicks. Unless you're a Georgia fan, nobody wants to read that because everybody believes it. Anybody that really follows college football just believes that Georgia's going to win the East. People like me just believe that Georgia's going to win the East. Now, is it possible that Florida could win the East? Of course, anything's possible. It's college football. Is it likely? No, it's not likely. So my theory behind this is in this social media, clicks equal money, article views equal money, headlines equal money for the writers. That Florida is being built up. I think a little bit too much, in my opinion, in comparison to the rest of the SEC. Just for that reason, just to get clicks. Because nobody wants to read an article where they talk about Georgia winning the East because they've been doing that for the past 3 years. That's just my opinion. I would love for a Florida fan or maybe even a Georgia fan to call in and give me your opinions on this as well. I got 2 people on the line here. I'll get you guys in just a second. I just want to go through the chat here real quick. See who's in here. Oh, Lord. Clemson Carson's in the house. Crimson Brave 2020. SO Mafia. Nate the Great, don't be late. Nate Kingston. SC Tiger Fan 803. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. I happen to already know that you are, though. Extreme Striker. Oops, almost accidentally timed somebody up. Wild Bill. I don't think I've seen you in here before unless you changed your name. What's up, Wild Bill? He says, hook 'em horns. The Goat Watson. He is the GOAT. One of my favorite people on YouTube. The Bet. How you doing, sir? Kenneth C. BW. Uncle Lou is in the house. Oh, by the way, I forget to do this all the time. I get off on my tangents here. You guys don't realize how it's a minor miracle I could put a YouTube show on at all. I have the attention span of a gnat. And that translates over to this live show. The Slob Olympics. March 5th through 7th, 2021. If you guys are tired of hearing about the Slob Olympics, I'm tired of you. All right? Be there or be square. Show up. Don't say you're coming and then back out like a pussy. Nobody likes pussies. Nobody likes pussies. Anyway. I need that updated list from people who are coming. Anyway, you can read. That's some of the people that are coming. The most important ones, maybe. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's many other important people coming, too. What's up, Uncle Lou? Junkyard Dog. TikTok Chess Hall. What a surprise. This guy's on more YouTube channels than the creator of YouTube. Sports Expert 101. Jeff Webster. How you doing, sir? Vodka Drinker. Atypical Gump. VT. Kevin Cook. Yes. A lot of my favorite people. P Digits. Man, some great people in here tonight. I'm so blessed. Slim Shady Canes. Good evening, ladies and sirs. Good evening to you too, sir. Big Vol Daddy, better known as BVD. Jordan Bowman. McD Sports 4. Dennis Wilson. Brad Pitt. Tareen Davis with a $10 super chat says SEC East for 2020 season. Number 1, Georgia. 2, Florida. 3, Kentucky. Oh, that's a hot take there. What about South Carolina and Tennessee, sir? You throwing shade at South Carolina and Tennessee? I might actually agree with you there, though. We'll get into that in a minute. We're going to look at Florida's schedule here in a minute, but I'm going to pick up some phone calls. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to pick up a phone call here, and then we can look at Florida's schedule in a second. Hey, Slim Shady, I see you on the line, buddy. Hold on. This other guy's been holding on for longer. Just wait a second, sir. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pigskin Pete. This is Extreme Striker.
What's up, man?
Georgia fan. So I think all the Florida hype is just all overrated. I don't think they're gonna win the East.
Well,
I've already looked at. I don't think Florida's gonna win. I don't think they are gonna win the East because I've looked at their schedule, and I think they're gonna lose to LSU, Georgia, and maybe Kentucky.
Do you think they're going to lose to LSU?
think-
I actually think that they're going to beat LSU. Well, I'm going to go through their schedule in a second, and I'll point out what I think is going to happen. I think their schedule actually sets up favorably for them this year, but I still don't think they're good enough to win the East. Is it possible? Yes. I'd say maybe 25% chance. 75% Georgia wins it. 25% Florida wins it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot my question.
Think about it.
I'll call you. I'll call you back when I can figure out what it was.
All right. That sounds great, buddy. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody, that's Extreme Striker, first-time caller. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete.
Pete, sir, how are you?
Well, come on, Slim Shady, you know I'm amazing and fantastic.
Hi, my name is. My name is. My
Well,
name
I
is.
had because, well, you brought up my favorite punching bag.
What, the Gators?
Oh, yes, sir.
Give it to me. Hey, let's look at the schedule together if you don't mind. You're a good person.
I don't mind at all.
You're a good person to look at the schedule with real quick. Here's the Florida Gators schedule. I had to crop the dates out for this. Let me move my call thing over. It's blocking everything. I had to block the dates out because it just wouldn't all. Otherwise, I couldn't fit it all on one screen. Anyway, this is the reason that this is the only reason I give them even a 25% chance to win the division is because of their schedule. All right, so they start out with Eastern Washington. Obviously, that's a cupcake game. Then week 2, they play Kentucky. I'm penciling that in.
Number one.
So you look. I'm objective here. All right, now people call me a homer for Clemson, and they're right. I'm a Clemson homer. I don't hide it. But when it comes to Florida, I don't have any problem with Florida. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm not a Florida fan. If Florida could win the East for the next 50 years straight, I wouldn't care. I just don't care. So I'm about as objective as it gets when it comes to evaluating this. All right. Now you're not because you hate Florida. I'm saying Florida's going to beat Kentucky. I mean, I really don't know why you would think any differently than
Well,
that.
I'm actually basing that off of what's happened in the last 2 years in that game, though.
That game's in. That game is in Gainesville.
Oh, okay. It gives them a little more of a chance, but I still think Kentucky's very capable of beating them.
Well, I disagree. So anyway, I have them 2-0 after 2 games. Then they play Southern Alabama. 3 straight home games. So they play Eastern Washington at home, they play Kentucky at home, and then they play South Alabama at home. I'm going 3-0 right there. Then their 4th game of the year is at Tennessee. Now, this is a trap game for Florida. I do think Florida is better than Tennessee, but I feel like Tennessee is going to upset somebody's season. So Tennessee, first of all, to get this out there, I don't think Tennessee is going to win the East, obviously. But I'd say Tennessee, obviously the 3 big games every year are Alabama, which is their cross-divisional rival they play every year, and then they play Georgia and Florida in the East. Everybody else in the East, considering to be pretty a non-factor, non-significant, right? So Tennessee has the ability to knock off one of those teams. Which one of those 3 will it be? Will it be Florida, Georgia, or Alabama? I don't know. But Tennessee's going to ruin somebody's season. Mark it down. Write it down. I'm telling you right now. Tennessee is going to go 2-1 in those 3 games. I mean, 1-2. So who's the one win that they're going to get? I don't know. I'm going to say this won't be the game because it's early in the year. And Florida coming off of 3 home games, I think is going to beat Tennessee. So I have them 4-0.
Well, that right there, based off of, once again, last year's game, I'm going to disagree with you because Kyle Trask made Tennessee's defense look like a top 10 defense in the country. I mean, they picked him off 3 or 4 times last year, And if Tennessee's offense could have mounted anything, barely reasonable, they would have won that game last year.
I do think Tennessee's going to be improved from last year, and they were actually much improved last year from the year before that. But are we comparing quarterbacks between Kyle Trask and Jarrett Garantano? Is there much of a comparison there? I mean, it's the same guy in a different uniform, isn't it?
I'm not entirely certain Garantano will be the starting quarterback for that game. So I've heard from several Tennessee fans.
Oh, I've heard the opposite, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on Tennessee's roster or anything. So who would be?
Neither am I. I just live in the state, but I've heard both from depending on the fan you ask.
Right. All right. So let's just get this straight. After 4 games, Slim Shady Canes has Florida already losing 2 games to Kentucky and to Tennessee. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you can mark that down.
Oh man! So you got them 2-2 after 4 games. The only 2 games you got them winning are the Cupcakes against Eastern Washington and South Alabama.
Well, I've made my opinion quite known on how overrated I think that team is, and I mean it's for good reason.
Huh?
Like a lot of people on this channel and on Lou's channel, I watch a lot of college football. So I saw several of Florida's games. And I'm not going to say in their entirety, but in their vast majority. And Kentucky was winning that game at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. Vanderbilt should have beat them, and Tennessee should have beat them last year. I'm going by the product on the field, sir.
I mean, we could play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game all you want. The only thing that matters is the scoreboard at the end, though.
Well, this is very true.
Yeah.
But everybody's luck runs out eventually.
All right. So
I think Dan Mullen's a terrible coach.
All right. So let's move on to the second third of the season. Then they go back home again and play against South Carolina. Look, who do you have winning that game? Let's be honest here.
I think Florida can take them.
All right.
In all honesty.
I agree. First of all, I'm not picking South Carolina to beat anybody, especially not Florida. So anyway, I have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. You have them 3-2.
3-2.
Okay. Then they have another home game, and it's against their cross-divisional rival LSU. Now this game could go either way. I'm not going to lie. I mean, this game's always good. I'm picking Florida to win this game. Mainly because of the coaching changes at LSU and the fact that they are replacing their quarterback. That's the main reason. But this could be a game that Florida could lose. But the only reason I'm picking Florida to win this game is because it's in Gainesville. That's the only reason. And I think it'll be a close game.
It'll be a close game.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Then they play Ole Miss. So they drew a team from the West this year outside of their cross-divisional rival in LSU that is in a transition with a new head coach. Now, I like Lane Kiffin. A lot of people don't like Lane Kiffin. I do like Lane Kiffin. I'm sure Tennessee fans don't like Lane Kiffin for obvious reasons, but I'm not a Tennessee fan. But look, I think this is going I think this is going to be an ass whooping. I think Florida's going to beat them by 3 touchdowns.
I think you're probably right.
Okay. So at this point, I've got them 7-0. Then the next game is the world's largest outdoor trailer park party, Georgia and Florida. Now, based on the last 10 minutes of my diatribe, or the first 10 minutes of my diatribe, obviously you know who I'm picking to win this game, right? I'm picking Georgia to win this game.
Obviously.
Yeah. And do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
I think Georgia's by far the much more talented team.
All right. Then Florida has the Vanderbilt. Pencil that in as a W for Florida. So at this point, I've got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got them 8-1 with their only loss to Georgia. Now, what do you think about Vanderbilt? Who do you think is going to win that game? I mean, I know Vanderbilt, probably the shittiest stadium in all of the Power 5, outside of maybe Bobby Dodd at Georgia Tech. I know it's a hard place to go play and everything, but, I mean, who do you have winning that one?
being objective, I will give it to Florida. But if they go in there playing that game like they did last year, they can slip up and lose it. I mean, much like the Miami game, they should have lost that one. Well, you should have lost the Vanderbilt game too.
I think it's funny that you have Florida beating South Carolina, but you think that Vanderbilt has a chance to beat Florida. Yeah, that shows me what you think about South Carolina.
Well, I have a particular hate for anywhere that Steve Spurrier's ever been, because I hate Steve Spurrier a little more than I do the Gators and themselves.
I actually like Steve Spurrier. I do. Anyway, that's
yeah.
beside.
I would, but it goes back to that Miami Florida rivalry, and Steve Spurrier did something dirty in that game when he was at Florida.
All right. So then we have Missouri at Florida. Now, Missouri is kind of a mess right now. I have Florida winning that game.
Yeah.
And is it just me? Does Florida have 18 home games this year? What the hell is going on here? That's in Florida. And then the next game is New Mexico State, the third cupcake of the year. Clemson don't play nobody. Meanwhile, you got Florida playing Eastern Washington, South Alabama, and New Mexico State. Clemson don't play nobody. Anyway, obviously I'm picking Florida to win that game. So at this point, I have them 10-1, with their only loss being to Georgia. Then, listen, before I move on to the last game, you're picking Florida to beat New Mexico State, right?
Yeah, I think that would be a safe assumption.
Okay. So the final game of the year is the in-state rivalry SEC-ACC matchup against Florida State. Now, whoever made this, look how they spelled Florida State on the Florida State. Flori. Oh yeah, they did spell it right. Never mind. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Anyway, we have no idea what Florida State's going to look like, do we? I mean, do you think you know what Florida State's going to look like? I don't know. Hell, they could go. They could go
watch some highlights of Memphis and get some kind of idea. I guess.
I'm talking about in 2020 though. They could go 4-8. I wouldn't be surprised. They could go 9-3 and be. No, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's just me being honest. I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't.
I mean, they have the talent.
Yeah. I think Florida's going to win that game.
But
so here's my basic synopsis of this is I feel like Florida's going to go either 11-1 or 10-2 in the regular season based on their schedule. The Georgia is the one I'm most sure about, and then they could drop a game somewhere else. You know, a fluke game. They could drop a fluke game to Tennessee, right? They could drop a fluke game to Kentucky, like you mentioned. They could drop a fluke game to maybe South Carolina or Mississippi, somebody. But you know, realistically speaking, here 11-1, 10-2. Now here's the problem, though.
I mean, I'm not too far off from you. I'm at 9-3, possibly 8-4. Because I hate to call the FSU game, because I did the same thing with the Miami FSU game. That's a coin flip to me. Being a rivalry game.
Here's the problem, or not problem, but here's as it relates to my argument about Georgia winning the East. Now, Georgia's got a tough road, man. They got to play Florida. They've got to play Alabama this year. That's the other saving grace for Florida. And another reason people are talking about Florida possibly winning the division is because Georgia does have to play Alabama in Tuscaloosa in week 3. But to me, Georgia could still lose in Tuscaloosa to Alabama and still win the division as long as they beat Florida, which I think they're going to do. Because I don't see another game on Georgia's schedule that they're going to lose. So even if they both go 11-1, Georgia still wins the division, in my mind. And if Florida drops another game to somebody that they shouldn't lose to, again, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, one of those teams, then Georgia still wins the East. That's my reasoning. Do you agree with that? I mean, who on Georgia's schedule you think they're going to lose to? Auburn, maybe. I don't think so.
Maybe, but I have no faith in Gus Malzahn whatsoever.
Right, and who's their quarterback? Bo Nix.
something like that.
Yeah, no.
Or the artist formerly known as.
Also, we're assuming that Kyle Trask is going to stay healthy the entire year. Who's his backup? I don't know. I'm not even being facetious here. I really don't know. But the reason I don't know is because he's not that good, or I'd know who he was.
Well, I spent all off season hearing how Emory Jones was possibly going to come into the game and win a Heisman, and all we got out of him was he robbed somebody on campus by hitting him over the head with a skillet, wearing a hairnet over his face or something. I mean, that's really the closest thing to a football play we've seen out of him.
I don't know what bizarre world I'm living in where there's a bunch of people out there trying to convince me and everybody else that Kyle Trask is like an elite quarterback or something. Did I miss something here? Can somebody tell me what am I missing here about Trask? And again, I'm not saying that Trask is a bad player. I think he's good. And I think that, Florida's obviously got a lot of weapons on offense, and Dan Mullen's a decent offensive mind. But does anybody think that Kyle Trask is anywhere close to any of these top-tier quarterbacks? No. I don't even think he's as good as Derek King for your team from Miami.
And I have my questions about him.
Kyle Trask could be the fourth best quarterback in the ACC.
That was kind of harsh, sir.
It's not really harsh. Actually, the ACC produces, a third of the NFL quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL are ACC quarterbacks. So, you can say what you want about the ACC, but they do produce some pretty good quarterbacks. But
you're going to trigger somebody with that kind of talk.
Well, it's true. I mean, look, all you got to do is look at the NFL rosters. There's like 9 starting quarterbacks from the ACC in the NFL. 9. The next closest conference. The next closest conference has like 3. So, but anyway, that's a difference. Different.
I mean, Miami still has the 4th most active players in the NFL.
Well, that's not going to win you games in 2020, though.
No, ain't going to win its games in 2020. I'm not sure Derek King will either. I've had my run-ins with a few of them on my 8-4 prediction on that.
Speaking of that, I just saw what's-his-face transfer, didn't he? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Jaron Williams.
Yeah, Jaron Williams.
To Green Mountain Community College or something.
Are you shitting me?
Nobody wants to put up with him.
Green Mountain Community College. Where the hell's that at? Let me guess. It's got to be either in Tennessee or North Carolina. It's named Green Mountain.
It's in Idaho, for all I know.
Idaho.
It may be. They're right next door to the Smurf turf.
Was he a true freshman last year?
Negative. He was a redshirt freshman.
Okay. So he still got what? If he goes to a JC, I mean, the only reason he's going to a JC is because he's planning on transferring out of there after a year, right? I mean, that's the only reason these players do that.
Well, and the only problem with that line of thinking is the only, and I'm not even sure they're D1, other school that his name was ever associated with was Western Kentucky.
McD Sports 4 says it's in Vermont. I didn't even know they had football teams in Vermont. I thought that was lacrosse country up there and soccer.
I know they got maple syrup.
I don't even think we need Vermont in the United States anymore. They could just may as well become part of Canada. That's my opinion. Them and Maine. Maine and Vermont, just go ahead. Canada can have them.
I don't know. Maine's got some pretty good lobster.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of places that have good lobster. But anyway.
But no, he ended up going there, mainly nothing to do with his play. It was all his off the field crap last year. Showing up after curfew half drunk.
I thought Perry is the one getting in trouble.
No.
Oh.
He did a couple of questionable things the year before that some people wanted to jump on, but there was, they looked into it. There was no NCAA violations or anything. No, Jaron Williams came in late for curfew the night before the FIU game, half drunk, And this is where I have my problem with Manny Diaz. Dan Enos wanted to bench him, and Manny let him start the game anyway.
And how did he play?
Well, I think we all remember how that game turned out.
Did he play like a? What are you? Are you at Talladega Speedway right now? What the hell's going on over there?
Apparently, somebody just decided to attempt a burnout in their shitty pickup truck.
Was that Bubba Wallace? Never mind.
I thought that. Oh, you mean AKA Jesse Smollett?
Oh no, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. Bad joke on my part. Bad timing. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying now. Before I got interrupted by that screeching tires. I don't even remember what I was talking about. I'll tell you guys, I have the memory of a gnat.
Jaron Williams, FIU game.
Oh,
I
asked you how he played, and you said you remember how the game turned out. I said, well, he played like a guy who was drunk then, right? I mean, no shocker there.
Well, I guess it was accurate.
I mean, Jaron Williams drunk probably plays about like me sober though, so I can't really say anything.
And I mean, what's bad is, you got to see him light it up when he's on. I mean, that Louisville game, he threw for 6 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm still waiting on Georgia. Hey, let me let you go. I got another call here. I'm waiting for a Georgia or a Florida fan. Where's George at? You know what, George called in. Hell, it's been a couple weeks now, and his phone was, I don't know what the hell was going on. It was echoing. He couldn't hear me, and I hung up on him, and he hadn't called back since. I think I might have hurt George's feelings. George, are you there? Are your feelings hurt, sir? Anyway, all right.
Well,
man.
I think his feelings were hurt anyway because Felipe Franks is gone.
I need George to speak some truth to me right now, or George's truth, not the truth, George's truth. Anyway, all right, man. I'm gonna let you go. I got another call here.
All right, boss.
Thanks for the call, brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Never you mind about George. He doesn't have any feelings, sir. Yeah, you don't have to worry about hurting his feelings. He doesn't have any.
You're right. He's about as even keel as it gets, ain't he?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can do to piss that man off. Have you ever heard him on Fan vs. Fan on my show?
No, I haven't. I didn't hear him on Fan vs. Fan. I've heard him on your show before, and he's the same guy. He's the same guy on every show, though, ain't he?
Look, he comes on that Fan vs. Fan, and somebody just starts yelling at him, and then he just responds in that same, cool, calm, collected. Like, it's impossible to rattle that guy.
Yeah, smoking.
Like, I wake up in the morning triggered. It literally takes nothing to set me off. George is the exact opposite.
Yeah, it don't take much to set me off either. But George, I mean, smoking an ounce of weed in 10 minutes, that'll do that to you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Florida's going 9-3 though. Slim was right. You couple games off there. No big deal. Hey, you think Alabama's got any chance to snap the streak against Georgia this season?
How many times have you guys played in the past, let's say, 20 years?
Doesn't matter. But they haven't beat us in Tuscaloosa since 1994.
Is that the last time you played them there?
No, we played them several times.
Oh,
more than 2.
Wow. So you're
more than 2.
So you're at least 2-0 or maybe 3-0 in the past 2 or 3 trips to Tuscaloosa is what you're telling me.
Yeah, at least 3-0 because we're more than 2.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's been a while, but that's Sanford Stadium West out there, Bryant Denny. But I don't know. Anything can happen early in this. I mean, we see upsets all the time. Alabama could definitely pull that one out. It'll be a good game.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I do believe that it being week 3 favors Georgia. I mean, I'm not saying it makes you the favorite to win the game, but I think it favors you rather than playing them later in the year.
I think it favors Georgia in that I don't think Bryce Young will be the starter yet.
Right.
But I would still rather play them later in the year. We got offensive line. Not issue. I mean, we got plenty of talent on the offensive line, but we did lose 4 starters. Now, we had a lot of injuries last year, so a lot of the guys will be starting this year. Did start some last year, and they all have playing time, but still, an offensive line, it takes time for an offensive line to learn how to play together. That worries me. No spring and the new offense and Jamie Newman. I think we'll have a better chance against Alabama the first Saturday in December.
You just hit it on the head. Alabama's not going to have any tape on Georgia's offense going into that game. If
that's true too,
because you're going to have a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback. That they'll have 2 games worth. But who's your first 2 games against?
Virginia and East Tennessee State. So
yeah. So basically nobody. I mean,
Yeah, nobody. And generally speaking, I agree with you. Like, why show a whole bunch against those 2 teams? But the problem is because the offense is so new. And listen, Georgia's kind of always been, at least under Kirby Smart, a what you see is what you get thing. I mean, it's been a running joke amongst some Georgia fans. Oh, we're hiding our, for the last 2 years. Oh, we're hiding our passing game.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But what you see from Georgia is generally what you get. So I don't know, but I'm sure they'll come up with a few wrinkles for week 3. But I don't know if Georgia can afford to come out and play, play hide and seek with their offense the first 2 weeks because it is so new. But it'll be an interesting chess match those first couple of weeks. To see what Kirby wants to do offensively heading into that Bama game.
But Nick Saban is at his best defensively, coaching-wise, when he's able to prepare for what he knows is going to happen, and he just he's not going to know what's going to happen in that game. Now, I know if you're a Georgia fan out there, you're saying, "Oh well, we've seen this song and dance before. Kirby's got his fingerprints all over this offense," but I don't think that that's the way it's going to be this year. Him just going out and getting Jamie Newman to begin with tells me differently.
Right, I agree with you. I think a lot of things have happened to get Kirby to this point, but watching what LSU did last year,
right?
I think has really, because Georgia's defense can't be any better than it was last year. I mean, if somebody wants to argue with me and tell you whatever, great. But Georgia's defense was unbelievable. We didn't give up a rushing touchdown to a running back all year long. Georgia, the defense just can't be any better. And offense was just pitiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just sad.
I mean,
so you got to get better.
I know you.
You remember that guy, Mark Rogers?
Yeah, I think I heard of that guy before.
Yeah. You know, he thinks Dan Mullen is a better head coach than Kirby Smart.
What?
Swear to God.
When did he say this?
I thought he was trolling. I thought he was trolling me, but he wasn't. I called, and then I actually had to call him twice in the same day, in the same show, to give him like an opportunity to admit he was trolling, and he wouldn't do it. He 100% thinks Dan Mullen is better than Kirby Smart.
Was he? I didn't think Mark Rogers was a drinker. Was he drunk when he said that?
He appeared sober, but what he was saying made little to no sense.
Well, what's he basing that on? What was his reasoning behind that?
I guess he's impressed with what he did at Mississippi State. Okay.
What? Not winning the division ever? He was impressed with that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I asked him all the usual questions. I was like, "Can you give me a list of all the coaches you think are amazing that have been in the Power 5 for 10 years without winning the division title? I mean, is it Dan Mullen and that's it? Is he the exception? Like, I don't get it. I mean, Kirby Smart's beat the bejesus out of him 3 years in a row. So I don't know. Anyway, that was interesting because Mark Rogers, I don't know. You might be onto something with the drinking thing there. Anyway, I'll be on his show, I think next week or something. So.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to hear that. I got a picture of Mark Rogers up on the screen right now, or Marsha Rogers actually. But anyway, that's a different story.
Oh yeah. Be sure and straighten them out. Hey, what's the percentage on the football season down to now?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. That was my next topic in the title there. I'm saying, as everyone else is dropping their percentage, I'm raising mine, and it's based on what the mayor of Tuscaloosa said, and I think he's got a point. I think money rules all. Anything short of the government stepping in, there's going to be a college football season with fans in the stands. That's what I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you think that's the case from start to finish?
Yeah. Anything short. Well, listen. If somebody dies, well, God forbid, a player or a coach dies, then that will stop it for sure.
Yeah.
But anything short of that, I think they'll play a full season.
Yeah. I definitely think. Now you say full season. Now let's say I don't know Clemson. Well, we use Georgia just because I don't know Clemson's schedule. What if on Wednesday of week 2, 10 people for East Tennessee State get coronavirus? Should Georgia play that game?
Sure, as long as those players aren't playing in it.
Big risk to take, ain't it?
I know, but see,
What if on Wednesday before the South Carolina game, Clemson's sitting there at 11-0, they've wrapped up another trip to the ACC title game, and South Carolina says we got 15 players positive with coronavirus. Should Clemson play?
They will. Whether they should or not is irrelevant. They will. Listen, you saw what Dabo Swinney did to Kelly Bryant. He was out there limping around. He put him in the game to try to beat Syracuse.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Dabo definitely don't care about his players. You're right there.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. He definitely cares about his players, but Clemson's playing the football games unless they're told by the government that they're not allowed to. That's the way I feel about it. And I think that's true for most programs, not just Clemson.
Well, actually, yeah, you have to play South Carolina because the government told you.
Yeah, it's a state law. You're right. Right.
Yeah. What's the deal? It's tied to some sort of funding that those two schools get, right? If they don't play, they lose a bunch of funding or whatever, something like that.
Yep. Yeah. And that goes back. I mean, that's one of those old laws that I don't know why they haven't changed it yet, honestly. I mean, they're still going to play each other every year anyway, whether the government tells them they have to or not. So I don't know what the point of that is.
Well, was there a point in time at some point where they stopped playing and that's why the government stepped in?
No.
Or what?
No, they haven't missed. They haven't missed a game since whatever it was, 1896 or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that makes that law even more weird.
Yeah, I mean,
they can't pass anything meaningful, but then they pass these laws that it's like when YouTube said, "Well, we're not going to show the subscriber count anymore." You're fixing problems that don't exist.
You want to talk about stupid laws? In Charleston, up until a couple years ago, there was a law that you could beat your wife as long as it was on the town hall steps on Sunday at 2 p.m. and there had to be 3 witnesses.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's right up Bear Bryant's alley.
Yeah.
Bear Bryant loved it.
Yeah, I missed that. I was trying to beat my wife, but I missed that. They changed it before I could do it. You know.
Yeah, you missed out.
Yeah, I missed out on that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, great show per usual. I'm going to hang up toward the comment section.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Thank you.
Bye, buddy. Bye.
Yeah, I missed out on that beating the wife on the steps thing. Literally, I was trying to beat her the day after, and then I realized the law was changed, so I couldn't do it. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hey, it's McD Sports 4. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, McD Sports 4? How you doing, man?
I'm doing outstanding. You?
Oh, well, I'm amazing and fantastic. You already know that, though.
Yeah, I already knew that. A few things. One, I'm calling in to talk about the Florida Gators and how the hype is overrated. Now, the last caller said 9-3. I would tend to say 10-2 because I think they're going to lose another game somewhere besides Georgia. But overall, I mean, first of all, I could go down so many rabbit holes with Dan Mullen at this point. I mean, I didn't even know that people were actually saying that Dan Mullen was a better coach than Kirby Smart. I don't know what that is. I really feel like
I don't know. He said Mark Rogers said that. I don't know if people are saying that. I think Mark Rogers is saying that. I mean, Mark Rogers is people technically. Well, he's one person. He's not people. But I haven't heard.
Well, that is true.
I don't know who else is saying that.
I'm sure Florida fans are saying that, but
I mean,
they're delusional.
All you gotta do is look at their head-to-head record and tell you who's better. That's like saying that's like saying that Will Muschamp's better than Dabo Swinney. I mean, look at the head-to-head record.
Yeah, Pastor Muschamp, not good, but yeah, but I mean, I could go down so many rabbit holes with Dan Mullen and everything, but I'm not gonna waste my time with them. But did you know that Dan Mullen is a stalker?
I didn't know Dan Mullen was. I knew his wife is. I know that much. I don't know about him.
Well, he's one too. Have you ever heard the story about how he got his wife?
No, but I have a feeling you're about to tell me.
You want to hear it?
Yes, I do. Please.
So I saw it on a video. I'm sure the video's on YouTube. But what happened basically was he used to work at, I think, Bowling Green or Toledo back when he was under Urban Meyer. I forget which school, Mac school. But she worked at the news station, the local news station, and Dan Mullen was watching the news, and he wrote to the news station saying, hey, I want to go on a date with you. And she didn't respond, so he kept on, like, writing messages saying, hey, I want to go on a date with you. And eventually he said, hey, I'm not a stalker. And the number one rule is if you say you're not something, you are. So.
I don't know about that. I don't know if you say you're not something, that means you are. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I'm not a South Carolina fan. Does that mean I'm a South Carolina fan?
Might be. I mean.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Yeah, that might have been a bit of an overreach, that last little statement right there. But
I see what you're saying. I see what you're
yeah.
saying. I don't know. Listen, I mean, that sounds like, first of all, everything you see on YouTube is real, right? We all know that. So that story must be real if you saw it on YouTube. Right?
It came out of his own mouth.
I mean, I saw a YouTube channel where there was aliens landing in Moscow, UFOs. So that had to be real too. But I do know that Dan Mullen's wife is definitely a stalker, and she's probably
the whole family's stalker.
And if the college football season gets shut down due to coronavirus, it's going to be because of her, because she's going to spread it to all players.
Yeah, supposedly they had 0 tests.
Right.
I mean, there's other diseases that get spread around easily. I'm sure she has some of those, but overall, I think she has to be blamed.
Hey, let me ask you a question. If you were a 19-year-old football player, would you make out with Mrs. Mullen if you had the chance?
No, but I know people that would, so that's the scary part. But I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not watching. That you might hurt her feelings.
I could care less.
I have a feeling. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Big D. I think you'd slip her the tongue. I do.
I would.
I mean, that would be the most action you've gotten in the past 5 years. Let's be honest.
Lies, Pete.
Oh, okay.
Lies.
All right.
Yeah, I have to call you out on that.
All
but
right.
I just saw George in the chat, so I guess he's back.
Oh, look, George is here.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I guess he woke up from his weed nap.
And I see your other question, is the college football too big to fail? No, it's not, but I think the season will happen, all 12 games. I don't know about the fans in the stands, picture or whatever, but nothing is too big to fail. I've seen bigger things fail before than college football.
I disagree. I'm going to talk about that now. I'm going to let you go. I got some more calls, but I'm going to talk about that now. Thank you, sir, for the call.
Take my call.
All right. Thank you. Before I pick up this next call, listen, the mayor of Tuscaloosa said that if there's no football season, the city of Tuscaloosa, or the town of Tuscaloosa, whatever it is, stands to lose $2 billion with a B, not million, billion with a B, dollars worth of revenue for the town. Now, this sounds a little bit inflated to me. I'm not saying he's wrong. I think he's exaggerating a little bit. As far as like last year's ticket sales and all that, parking and people coming to the actual Alabama football games, they generated $150 million, $144 million, something like that, dollars in revenue. That's a far cry from $1 billion. Now, if you add up the hotel rooms and the bars and the restaurants and all that, is that going to make up another $1.5 billion or $1.85 billion? No. But I will say this: outside of places like Georgia Tech and Pitt, places that are in major metropolitan areas where it's not a college town. These towns, the entire economy is built around the football season. I mean, listen, if there's no football season, Clemson will be devastated. Bars and restaurants, they're already devastated just from the shutdown from the coronavirus for 4 months. if you take away the college football season, Clemson's such a small town. Athens is probably the same way. Tuscaloosa is bigger than Clemson, probably, population-wise, but still, I'm sure that town revolves around. There's a ton and a ton of towns that revolve around the football team. So that's the reason I say that the local legislature, unless it's a federal mandate, the local legislature and the NCAA will do whatever they can do to have a semblance of a normal football season, if not a normal football season, with fans in the stands. They just can't afford not to. They just can't afford not to. And money talks, bullshit walks. So you could say what you want to about, what about the players? Oh, what about the public safety? Do you think, how long have you people been living in this world in America, where you think that money isn't all that matters? Money's all that matters. Trust me. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Paxton, Pete. It's the Stream Striker again.
Hey, what's up, man? Did you remember that question you had for me earlier?
No, but I have another one for you.
Okay, good.
So me and Peete were talking in the comments, arguing basically, and he asked this question: what was the 4 teams that we predicted go into playoffs? Mm-hmm. I said Georgia, Florida, Bama, and Clemson. He asked why. Basically, what I'm trying to ask you is,
whoa. Let's back up here. Let me get what you just said straight. You said you thought the 4 teams in the playoffs: Georgia, Florida, Bama, and Clemson. 3 SEC teams and 2 from the East.
Yes.
So where's Oklahoma, Oregon, and Ohio State at in this conversation?
I didn't think about them, honestly.
Yeah, you might want to think about them because they're. I mean, especially Ohio State, and probably Oklahoma too. But anyway, go ahead.
So the question was, if the first 3 spots were already filled out for the final playoff, who would make it in? A 2-loss Alabama that only lost to Georgia twice, or an undefeated Oklahoma team with a trash schedule?
An undefeated Oklahoma team with a trash schedule. There's no way that listen, sir. There's no way that an undefeated Power 5 team is getting left out of the playoffs. None. Zero chance. Less than zero. Negative 10% chance.
Oh. Well, that was the only question I had.
Oh. All right. So, but you said you're a Georgia fan, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So you agree with me about the Florida situation then? I'm assuming you do.
Can you repeat that?
You agree with me about my take on Florida in the East this year?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Florida is overrated this year. Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say they were overrated. As a matter of fact, I think they're properly rated. I just think that Georgia's better. That's all. I think Florida's a top 10 team. I mean, why wouldn't I? They were a top 10 team last year, and they're going to be better this year than they were last year. So, but the problem is, I think Georgia's a top 5, top 4 team. So, but anyway. Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and let you go get some more callers in.
All right, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you. There you guys have it. Striker. What's his name? Extreme Striker. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. It's Nate.
Nate, the great. He's never late. Nate Kingston. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm amazing. And fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yes.
There you go. So, based on what the last caller said, I don't know if I did my prediction yet, but I know it's way too early to do that, but I'm not going to do hardcore Michigan that, but be realistic. I'm going to be realistic here. So, my top 4 teams, way too early prediction for college football playoff is Clemson, number 1, again. Number 2, let's see, maybe either Georgia or Alabama or Florida. Those are 3 tied right now.
You just named 8 teams. There's a 4-team playoff.
I know. I said they're tied right now.
Oh.
Right now. I'm thinking about them.
They're tied. They're tied right now.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that.
Okay. All right.
Third, Ohio State's gonna hate me for this, but third, Ohio State. Fourth, maybe what Pac-12 or Big Ten teams are there?
Oregon.
Yeah. Oregon Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks. That's right. Just like the 1990s movie about the kids who played hockey. The Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. All right. The second. All right. Bama. Sadly. And the semifinals. No, wait. Is it championship or semifinals now? Forgot. Because there's 4.
All right. So according to Nate the Great, Don't Be Late, Nate Kingston, there's going to be 16 teams that make the 4-team playoff, as of right now.
Oh, there's 14 team. Jeez, I didn't know that.
No, four teams. There's 4 teams in the playoff.
Oh, okay.
You just named 16 up though.
So it's the finals now, right? Like
finals.
Okay, just making sure. Bama and oh boy, Jesus, why did I pick this again? Clemson. Damn, I'm gonna have a war with 3 again. That's my way too early college football playoff prediction. For right now.
You know what the scary thing is, Nate? That's the most that's the most rational and coherent breakdown I've heard all year. I agree with you.
Yeah, but it's kind of sad because we're gonna have it again.
Yes.
But also, I just want not just like Clemson. I'm not trying to be mean. Just, like I want different teams to get in. You know, like I want them to get the experience. Like
right. So you're like most of the country. You're tired of Clemson being there, right?
No, like Clemson
that's
or
what you just
Ohio
said.
State or yeah.
Yeah, that's what you just said. Come on, man, just own it. You're tired of Clemson. Everybody's tired of Clemson.
Or
right?
Ohio State.
Right. I'm tired of Ohio State too. Screw the Bucknuts.
I call them Suckeyes, so.
Yeah. I call them son. I call them son because I'm their daddy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's even good because Michigan doesn't. They screw themselves against Ohio State. So that's all I have right now. I'll call on Friday. Thanks for the call, Pete.
All right, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nate the Great, Don't Be Late, Nate Kingston has got to be one of the greatest callers in the history of YouTube. Tell me I'm wrong. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete.
Hey, what's up, Pete? It's Ballard. How you doing?
Hey, Christian Ballard. How you doing, man? Or let me wait.
Pretty well.
Ballard Sports Media. Let me get it right.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right.
Yep, you got it.
What's up?
Not much. I noticed, first off, I just got in here. I've been watching for only a couple minutes or so, so I noticed in the title you put Florida Gators hype. I think they're going to be really great this year. I think that. Do what?
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
So here's the first thing you'll do. First of all, I want to hear your point on this because that's why you called in. But after you get after the stream's over here soon, I want you to go back and watch the first 30 minutes of this stream.
Okay.
Because I spent the whole time talking about Florida. Maybe more than that. Maybe the first 40 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure you get. Yeah, I'm sure you gave your own opinions on it. And listen, obviously, we know they'll be very good. Question is, how good will they be?
That's the question.
I don't see them losing more than really only one game, and if they do lose a game, it's probably going to be to Georgia, like it has been. If anything,
I said the same thing, sir.
Do what?
I said the same thing. Now keep going.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, and I think, people like to make fun of Kyle Trask and call him Kyle Trash or whatever. I don't know what that's about. I mean, he had a couple bad plays here or there in one or two games. He didn't, because the Gators last year, they went 10-2, right? Only lost to LSU and Georgia.
Right.
Those are two really good teams from last year.
Okay.
And so when you look at it, and Kyle Trask put up really great numbers and took over for, what's that kid's name that transferred to Arkansas?
Felipe Franks.
Franks?
Yes.
Yeah, Felipe Franks, who got hurt, and people were, Gator fans were really worried. They're like, holy crap, we just lost our quarterback. What are we going to do? Kyle Trask really took over as the premier type of quarterback for that program. And I think when you look at Florida and Georgia, what stands out to me is the amount of talent that Florida has returning compared to what Georgia has returning. Now,
this is the argument.
Georgia did sign the number one class. They got a lot of great talent, but
listen, Georgia signed 2 number 1 classes in the past 3 years, and four top 5 classes in the past 4 years. Compare that to Florida. Also, compare Kirby Smart's record as a head coach in the East to Dan Mullen's.
Right. I would agree. Well, Dan Mullen only came a couple years after Kirby Smart.
Right.
So Kirby Smart has been coaching a little bit longer.
Right.
You got to give him that.
4 years to 2 years, something like that. Yeah.
4 and 2, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the one thing that Florida just needs to do, now they did lose to LSU last year, but LSU was LSU. We saw what they did. They just got to beat Georgia. That's all they got to do, and it's been really close. What was
That's
it?
not all. That's not all they have to do.
Something like that.
That's not all they have to do. I mean, that's the main goal. Obviously, they have to beat Georgia if they want to win the East. But that's not all they have to do. They also have to get past LSU and who was the other one I had? I just pulled up their schedule a minute ago. Let me go back to it.
I got.
Let me go back to it here. I said, and you have to watch the beginning of the stream. I feel like the schedule sets up favorably for Florida. They've got 3 cupcakes: right. Eastern Washington, South Alabama, and New Mexico State. Tennessee is a trap game for them. Even I believe they'll beat Tennessee, but that's a game that they could lose possibly. And right. South Carolina is sort of the same thing. I think.
Yeah, South Carolina's been a team that's given them trouble in recent years too. But I think this year it should be no problem. I don't really know.
To me, it's
there
more
are a couple of teams.
It's more about Georgia than Florida because Georgia,
right.
like I said, can lose to Alabama. Even if they do lose to Alabama, I don't see anybody else on Georgia's schedule that they're going to lose to. Now, I don't feel the same. I don't feel the same way about Florida.
Yeah.
So an 11-1 Florida. And an 11-1 Georgia, the tiebreaker would be the greatest or the largest outdoor trailer park party down there.
Yeah, the cocktail party. Yeah,
the trailer park party.
That would basically be the East Division clincher.
Right, and I just think Georgia's going to win that game. So that's the reason I have Georgia ahead of them.
Yeah. So let's talk about Alabama for a second. I know you know I'm an Alabama fan. Who do you see on the schedule? You're probably going to tell me Georgia or LSU, but LSU loses a lot of talent.
I'm not telling you
Who
LSU.
do you think can mess Alabama up?
I'm going to go with Georgia and Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn?
Yes.
What? Are you serious?
I mean, I don't think that they're going to beat you, but you're talking about if you're asking me what 2 teams on Alabama's schedule have the most likelihood of beating them, I would say Georgia and Auburn. And the reason I'm putting Auburn in there is because it's such a big rivalry. It's the end of the year. Where's that game being played this year, by the way?
It's in Tuscaloosa, and this year actually makes the 10-year anniversary well, it'll be like, what was that game? The 25th or 26th or whatever. But 10 years ago, this year will be the last time Auburn won in Tuscaloosa, and they called it the Cam back when Cam Newton came back on them.
Right.
You remember that game?
Yes.
That was insane. But they haven't won in Tuscaloosa since then. So
well, you guys play. Where do you play
obviously-
Tennessee this year? You play them in Knoxville, don't you?
Yeah, at Neyland.
Yeah.
But we're their daddy, so.
Well, that might be true, but
It's like
so
it's
last
like,
year, I remember last year, they gave Alabama a game for 3.5 quarters,
Oh yeah, Alabama.
and that was in Tuscaloosa.
Beat them only by 14 points. Like I was sitting there, and of course Tua got hurt.
But
Mac
they
Jones
were
came in.
they
It
were
didn't look like they were having a good game.
midway through the fourth quarter or so. They were only down by like what was it, 7?
Yeah, something like that. Like
Yeah.
I was saying, this might be the year for Tennessee. I don't even know because Tennessee, despite how they started out the season, kind of got better each week. And when that game rolled around, I'm saying Tennessee's actually playing. Like, like I expected us to blow them out of the water, but it just didn't go that way.
Yeah, I remember
It was close.
I remember a controversial call there or something. I'm not saying that's what I don't blame. I'm not a ref blamer, but that after that call, I remember that things started going Alabama's way after that. But Tennessee they held their own for the majority of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Pruitt's doing a good job with recruiting there. So I think he's got that program going in the right direction. What do you think?
I do, yes. I still think that Alabama, and I'm catching a lot of heat about this. I still think Alabama's the team to beat, and they can say, oh, they haven't done anything since they got blown out by Clemson in the 2018 national championship game. Well, maybe if your standard is winning a national championship and going to the playoffs every year, but I still think recruiting-wise, coaching-wise, the whole 9 yards. Plus, I think that Alabama has 2 top-tier quarterbacks in Mac Jones and Bryce Young. Most teams only have 1.
Yeah.
All right. So even if Mac Jones was to get hurt or get yanked, they still have another guy that can fill in behind him. Most teams don't have that. A lot of times these teams, man,
Right.
if their starting quarterback gets hurt, it's a death sentence. That's not true for Alabama. LSU, I think,
Right.
is going to take a minor step back this year, and then I think 2021 LSU is going to be really good. So really, Georgia's really it as far as Alabama goes this year. That's the biggest game on their
Right.
schedule, and then of course Auburn at the end of the year. I think they'll win the rest of them.
Yeah, I think for Kirby Smart, because we talk about coaches, a really great recruiter, even on both sides. He can even recruit offense. I just think that he hasn't figured out how to coach it yet, if I'm being honest. I really didn't see a whole lot much from Jake Fromm after his freshman year when he led them to the title, which they pretty much got their way in there by beating Auburn, which here's the thing about that. Auburn just had Georgia and Bama and Jordan Hare, which is a really tough place. I think had those games been on the road, Alabama probably would have won the West.
Maybe. Hey, listen.
Who knows what the Natty would have been?
I've got 5 minutes left on the stream, and I've got George on the phone. I've got to talk to him before I get off, so I'm going to have to let you go. But thank you.
Yeah. Thanks anyway. But I just wanted to say that, Georgia's going in the right direction. Jake Fromm wasn't the guy. Maybe Jamie Newman. But anyway, thanks for taking my call. Have a good one and roll tide.
All right, man. Thank you. George.
Hey, Pete.
George.
How you doing?
All right, listen. Here's the thing. You've got 3 minutes of airtime. I just want you to put all of your feelings out there and let us all know how you feel over the next 3 minutes.
Well, first of all, if this shit keeps up the way it is, how the hell are we going to play football? If they're going to say people can be asymptomatic and test positive, meaning they're perfectly freaking healthy, but they got to go sit down for 2 weeks or something, how are we going to play football?
Because they can still spread it to somebody else. But I disagree. I don't think that they'll quarantine people. But
there's no such thing. There's no such thing as being asymptomatic and sick at the same time. They just made that shit up last week.
No, you can have a sickness and still not exhibit symptoms, George.
Maybe some other sickness, not this one. This is ridiculous. These are the healthiest people on planet Earth. these football players.
Well, that's why
They're-
that's why they're not showing symptoms. But I mean, you can have HIV. Look at Magic Johnson. This guy's had HIV for 30 years. He doesn't show any signs
I
of
don't
it.
believe anything the government has said since 1950 or something. They're always lying.
Well, so what do you think? All right, forget about that. What do you think about Florida this year? Did you hear what point of the show did you come in at? Did you hear my first 30 minutes of the show or not?
No, I missed that part.
Okay, you might want to go back and rewatch that.
And you know why I missed it? I really was taking a weed nap, man. I got too high.
I know you were. I know
then
you,
I
George.
had a beer, and I was like, I'd take a nap.
I know you, George. I know your weed schedule, and
I'm glad I woke up.
So you're 3 hours behind me, and so I figure your weed. If I go on at 10, that's 7 o'clock your time, right? So
Right.
I figure from about 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. you were getting high and drinking beer, and then right around the time I come on, it's time for you to take your weed nap. Right? Am I
Well,
right?
I woke up from my weed nap at 7:30.
Well, that's 10:30 my time, so I'm right. Am I right?
Right.
All right. Thank you. Of course I'm right.
You know, look, I randomly post a link in my football channels about medicine or viruses or something, but I only do like one at a time because I don't want to get nobody's channel shut down. But these videos I want to show people, they keep getting pulled from the internet because we're not allowed to make our own decisions and study and research. We just have to go by what TV says, apparently. And if I could show you all this stuff from medical journals and scientists, even now to this day, they're still telling the truth. They won't let them talk. It's so much worse than what you think is going on. This is literally an attempt to take over the world. It's not just in America they're doing this. They're doing it worldwide. They have vaccinated us and fluoridated us and chlorined us. You know, chlorine is one of the deadliest poisons on earth. No reason that should be in your water. You think it's because they love you, but that's not the truth. We survived on this planet for 1 billion years or whatever without nobody dosing us up full of pharmaceutical fucking medicines. From the day we're born, they start poking babies with shit made in laboratories. And we're so sick now, they come up with a new name for a new disease every day. It's all man-made. It's orchestrated. It's being done on purpose. And I'm afraid for us, man. I'm afraid we might have overstayed our welcome. Hey, there's a saying, ignorance is death. And when I go to the store and I see 80-90% of the people wearing a mask, I know we're done.
Hey, George.
Because you're going to die and get sick if you wear a mask. I promise you.
Hey, George, guess what? That weed that you're smoking, do you think it was watered? Do you think it was watered with chlorine and fluoride water?
Yeah, anything's possible, man.
So
I try to buy from outdoor growers.
You're smoking chlorine and fluoride, sir.
I'm not real happy about any of this shit, man.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they spray. They say it's organic, but I don't know.
Okay. Just so you know. Just so you know.
Yeah. Hey, you know, they passed a law in a county in Oregon today that everyone has to wear a mask unless you're black. How's that? They're trying to start a race war or something, man. What's wrong with Oregon in the first place? I hope they lose every football game after this shit. Well, why would you do that to people? And the black people are bitching up about it. They're saying, well, if you need to wear a mask, why are you telling us not to wear one? You know? Bill Gates came out and said, we got to vaccinate the old people first and then the blacks. And the blacks went, hey, don't experiment on us, man. Try that shit on your kids, Bill Gates. You know, Bill Gates' doctor came out and said he never vaccinated any of his children. How's that for taking a chance with your life? Tell on Bill Gates.
All right, listen, I'm going to have to let you go because my computer's literally about to die. But here's what I'll tell you. I'll leave you with this. They definitely need to vaccinate Mrs. Mullen. Because she's going to spread all the Rona.
She's spreading good germs. Okay. I'll go back and listen to your earlier show when you get done.
All right, George. Thank you for the call.
All right. Love you guys.
All right, man.
Bye.
George never disappoints, does he? Jesus. Anyway, Thank you all. Before my computer dies here. Thank you to all the super chatters. Had BGPO Football Funk. He sent in 2 super chats, one for $2.99, one for $1.99. Tarian Davis and DeGoat Watson. You're all amazing and fantastic. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the Always Pigskin Show with my man John from Always Irish, as usual. And then Friday night at 10 p.m. with another great call-in show. I had fun tonight. I hope you all did too. And George at the end. Listen. No comment. All right, guys. I'll see you soon. It's been real. It's been fun. It ain't been real fun, though. Pigskin Pete. Check it.